All right, welcome back to Living Fit's 2 Minute Tuesdays. Hope everyone's had a great start to the week and is still going strong with their health and fitness goals, considering that gyms are still closed. Even though there is light at the end of the tunnel, it looks like gyms will be opening in the next month and outdoor boot camps will be back up and running, hopefully in New South Wales by Friday or early next week. But here we are again, 2 Minute Tuesday, so let's keep this one nice and short. All right, so this week's question comes from Carly, who asked, what's the number one piece of nutritional advice that I could give someone? So let's put 2 minutes on the clock and let's see what we can do. All right, so if we put behavioral psychology and everything else aside in terms of create a routine, get into meal planning, etc., my number one piece of advice for the majority of the population out there would be to incorporate what is known as the meat and nut breakfast. Now, I learned this off Polican, and he was a big advocate of the meat and nut breakfast purely for a couple of very important reasons. One, the body needs to get 30 grams of protein in the day as early as possible, and that goes directly to the immune system. Forget about repairing muscle tissue and getting you recovery-wise after a workout. The first 30 grams you consume in the day goes to basically just keeping you alive, keeping your immune system strong, etc. The second point of getting protein in early in the day is because most people drastically undereat on protein anyway. So we make sure that you get a good start to the day, get your protein levels up straight from the beginning. Now, where do the nuts come in? So nuts are also a very good source of fat as well as fiber. We're talking about raw nuts here. We're not talking about salted and roasted. We're just talking about raw nuts, like when you go to the supermarket and you see them in bulk and you scoop them out and you put them in a bag and take them home. So basically, the meat and nut breakfast, the premise behind it is you're getting protein in early in the day and you're also getting good monounsaturated fats. Now, the brain, especially for cognition related tasks, prefers ketones, so energy substrates derived from fat to run as fuel. So getting a good source of protein, getting a good source of fats early in the day makes sense. And the good thing about having a meat and nut breakfast is proteins and fats are very satiating. They keep you full for longer. So these people who have, these individuals who have large amounts of sugar, carbohydrates for breakfast find that they're grabbing for more sugar and carbohydrates very soon after. And this is where people tend to gravitate towards like the 10 a.m. coffee and then having to have a morning tea, etc. At the end of the day, if I'm if I'm satiated between meals, I'm less likely to gravitate towards something that maybe I shouldn't be eating. So by getting protein in early in the day, we're taking care of the immune system as well as we're increasing our protein intake above what most people would normally have, which is always a good step in the right direction, and bringing in a good source of monounsaturated fats as well as fiber. Once again, fiber is very satiating as well. So that would be my go-to, my number one tip. It will benefit most people. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, meat's for breakfast, that's crazy. And really it's not. At the end of the day, a lot of people have eggs for protein. A lot of people have sausages for protein. If a lot of people will be like, oh, but I can't have things like steak and that for breakfast. I'm not saying go to steak for breakfast straight away. Or even down in the long term, it might not be something that will sit well with you for forever. But you can still have things like salmon and chicken breast, eggs, ham, turkey breast, etc. So stick to the lighter meats if you're transitioning into a meat and nut breakfast. All being said, my number one go-to tip, meat and nut breakfast, implement it. Your cognitive tasks will improve dramatically. Your cognition will improve. Your problem solving will improve because, like I said, the brain. Haven't had my meat and nut breakfast this morning. Much prefers to run off ketones than it does off sugar. So my tip for the week, my number one tip for nutritional advice, if I could only give one, meat and nut breakfast. Try and implement it. It does take a bit of meal planning, especially if you've got if you're hurried in the morning or you rush in the morning. This is where your meal prep, or even just having the meat from the meal that you had last, so dinner the night before, always comes in handy, as well as making sure that your meal prep is on point. All right, I hope you got a lot out of this. I hope I answered the question that Carly, that you had to some level of satisfaction. If you're enjoying the content, please like the page, and we'll see you next week for 2 Minute Tuesdays. Thank you.